Joining us now to discuss the latest revelations in all of this Hunter Biden saga is Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton and former FBI agent and retired Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Tom, I want to start with you. What do we know now about Hunter Biden? What more do you think we're going to be able to find out? What are you guys doing at Judicial Watch? What are you still looking for? Are we being stonewalled? Give us a little bit of an update here.
Well, we're still being stonewalled. The government's giving us documents about Burisma and dribs and drabs. What we're seeing here, and this latest story is further confirmation of what we've already seen, is the outlines of a racketeering operation, where you had the Joe Biden had his bills being paid for by his son, being in a business relationship with his son while he was vice president. And then after he went into the private sector, you see him trying to set up a deal with foreign nationals with 10% quote for the big guy. I mean, when you have Hunter Biden admitting in some text messages and other things supposedly found on the laptop, I don't know if he was joking about it, but he was making the point he was spending half of his income to take care of his father. And these emails and documents are important in that they detail how that was done. And he was using this company, Seneca Partners, which was his business concern, essentially to run the Biden family enterprise, paying the bills, as you point out, running the papers through his entity, the vice president's governmental Senate's papers, through his entity to Delaware, where they're still secret, by the way. And the real scandal here is the FBI knows all this. They've had the documents for at least 2 years by my count. And under the rules of the Justice Department, there should be a special counsel. And the fact there isn't one shows you how decrepit this city is in terms of fairly enforcing the rule of law. They investigated Trump with the special counsel for exercising his prerogatives as president to fire an FBI director. Here we have the son implicated in criminal activity. Documents show his father's involved, yet no special counsel. Outrageous.
It is unbelievable. Jonathan, on its face, it seems very odd. You have an adult son sharing bank accounts with his father, obviously vice president at the time. Have you ever seen a situation like this before? And is there any explanation as to why this may make sense?
So, excellent question. I just want to say one thing. What Sean said at the very beginning of the show, that we're now halfway through the week. I think that's how we're measuring where we are in life now since Joe Biden has been in. You know, did we make it through at least half the week? And that's kind of the way we're going now with all this stuff. And what's interesting about the question you just asked and what Tom just put out is that, yes, I have seen this before. And it was in RICO cases. It was in cases where the mob was involved, where gang members are involved. And you do see family members or patriarchs involved in criminal activity that's passed down from generation to generation, or vice versa, passed up, where they get involved after the fact. And I think when Tom brought up the RICO statute, this is a very important thing, because if a group of people, 2 or more people, are involved in a criminal enterprise, and a criminal enterprise is defined by a group of people that are committing 2 or more crimes for the furtherance of their enterprise, then these people are guilty of racketeering. And this was made for this exact thing, basically for the mafia, because they couldn't get the groups. So they created this. And it's interesting, whether you were, looking how the Clintons were running things back when they were more in power, or the way Joe Biden has been doing this all throughout. And Tom and Judicial Watch has done an amazing job uncovering this, better than the Bureau in a lot of ways. What they're showing is that there is proof that these are people, 2 or more people, Joe Biden's brothers involved as well, that are conspiring in furtherance of a criminal enterprise to do multiple illegal activities. And the problem here is that the way Judicial Watch does their investigations and where they point towards things is not how the Bureau does it, and it is certainly not how the DOJ is leading these investigations, because ultimately nothing comes out of them, because they are 100% political and 100% political and leaning to the left.
You know, it's interesting. I have an entire chapter called Biden Inc. in my book that talks about, you mentioned Frank Biden, his brother, and when you realize the relationship that all these folks have and how far back it goes, it makes a lot of sense. But Tom, I don't have a ton of time left. I want to ask you this question because you brought it up. In government, when I was in government and all of these officials, you have to file a disclosure form every year. If Vice President Biden had this arrangement with his son where he had a bank account that had money in it, where they were paying bills, shouldn't he have had to disclose that? And not from a legal standpoint necessarily, but from an ethics standpoint, wouldn't that be a violation then that he didn't list that bank account?
Potentially. I'm not sure if those ethics rules apply to the president or vice president. They certainly apply to the taxpayer, Joe Biden. And just to bring it forward, we have all this news about the paintings. I'm sure if there was a competent FBI agent or an honest U.S. attorney or a special counsel, they would see immediately this painting scheme as another way for the man who's under criminal investigation to launder money into his pocket. And in my view, the sales of paintings by frankly, by Joe Biden, but by Hunter Biden, obviously in league with the White House, necessarily requires a Justice Department investigation. Right. Given the fact he's already under investigation, they should be presuming all of his business activities are similarly tainted. We need it's not the solution necessarily in the sense of we'll get final justice here. But in the least, we need a special prosecutor. In the least, I want to jump in here,
Tom, because I want to give Jonathan a quick response here. Just 20 seconds here, Jonathan, because I'm out of time. What are the national security implications of this? 20 seconds.
Oh, my gosh. It's limitless. We don't know who they're doing business with. We don't know who's being promised things. And we don't know, this is most important, who the loyalty is that Joe Biden and this criminal enterprise, who their loyalty is to. Is it to America or is it to China? Is it to criminality in general? That is a huge national security issue right there.
All right, a lot more to break down. Gentlemen, thanks for shedding light on the situation. Look forward to following up with you as this thing evolves.
You got it.
All right.